Does President Biden, at 81 years old, have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, or degenerative illness that would cause these sorts of lapses? And it's a yes or no question. And if you don't know, why don't you, as one of his senior staff members, know?
I have an answer for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the same exact question.
Seemingly always frustrated to answer that question, though it is the biggest question in the nation right now in terms of President Biden and his performance. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre denying that President Biden has some form of cognitive issue. It comes as several Democrats have expressed worries that the president may not be up for another 4 years serving in the White House.
In fact, one Democratic lawmaker, Texas Congressman Lloyd Doggett, has already called on Biden to drop out of the race and let someone else take a shot at going up against former President Donald Trump. A group of Democratic governors are set to meet with President Biden today to share these concerns. Joining us now, Florida Congressman Byron Donald. He sits on the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, we'll just start with this question. Do you believe Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee for president?
To be honest with you, I really don't know at this point. They have a real problem. Democrat voters have chosen Joe Biden. The DNC and the Joe Biden campaign, they worked hand in glove to keep Democrats from challenging him earlier this year. My colleague Dean Phillips challenged him. The DNC basically said he was persona non grata. RFKJ tried to challenge him. They kicked him out, made him an independent. So you have a problem where the DNC, the Biden campaign, the Democrat Party, they blocked all challenges from Joe Biden. And now they finally have to admit that he can't do the job. I mean, we all knew he couldn't do the job, but now they have to admit it because the entire world sees this. I don't know what they're going to do. The other thing is that the campaign money is really for him and for Kamala Harris. So they can't even go out of those two. They can't go to a Gavin or a Gretchen Whitmer or anybody else because you'd have to refund all the money, then re-raise all the money after their convention in August. It's a real mess, but serves them right. This is what happens when you actually don't let the democratic process work in terms of letting candidates run and go through that process. This is what happens when you shield somebody who's terrible at the job and you already know doesn't have the capabilities of performing the roles of that job.
$264 million cash on hand for the Biden-Harris campaign. You would have to say goodbye to that. Essentially, from what we know right now, if you went with someone other than Biden or Harris. Speculation about who could possibly replace Biden on the Democrat ticket, as you were talking about. One of those names is VP Kamala Harris. Even South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn was pressed on this possibility yesterday. Watch this.
How would you feel if they worked around and tried to go around Kamala Harris because of her lack of high poll numbers and popularity and broadly based? Do you think it's hers to have if it is not his?
I will support her if he were to step aside. But I want to support her going forward at sometime in the future. I want this ticket to continue to be Biden-Harris. And then we'll see what happens after the next election.
So that's the answer there. But again, still coalescing around President Biden at this moment. Your thoughts on that? There are no polls virtually out there that show Harris has any chance beating Trump in this election. What is the DNC seeing? What is the Biden campaign seeing that maybe the American public, maybe other lawmakers are not seeing, that there are no other candidates that are beating Trump, according to Reuters Ipsos, besides Michelle Obama?
Well, look, what they see is what we all know. The Democrat agenda has been a failure. People need to understand that the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris agenda is also the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren Democrat Party agenda. It doesn't matter who's at the top of the ticket. The agenda items remain the same. Kamala Harris and the rest might be able to explain it better. They won't freeze up on the world stage, but the agenda still sucks. It's still damaging to the American people. Our streets would still be flooded with illegal immigrants. Inflation would still be through the roof. The only reason why that Michelle Obama even polls well is because there are a lot of people who still have a fond memory of the Obama last name, but not this agenda. And then when you get to Kamala Harris, what the DNC knows is that the cackling, the Venn diagrams, the non-answers, the vagueness, and then she had a job being the border czar, and she failed at that job. They know that she's not prepared to do this, but they're stuck. Because even going back to 2020, when they were trying to figure out who was going to be on the ticket with Joe Biden, what did they famously say? They had to have a black woman. Didn't matter about the qualifications. And let me be clear, that's not to demean black women. There are very competent, capable black women in the United States. But that was their whole decision matrix, not who was ready to be vice president. Now they find themselves with either a man who simply cannot do the job and a vice president in Kamala Harris who's never demonstrated any capabilities to do this job. They have a serious problem on their hands. But like I said, that's their own fault. At the end of the day, the American people know where this is going. Donald J. Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States because we got to save our country. This fiasco that has been unleashed the last week is really just demonstrating how deeply flawed the Democrat Party is, especially Democrats at the top of the ticket.
Yeah, Dems in disarray is a fair headline this time around. Republicans very strongly behind Donald Trump at this hour. You mentioned the VP. We've been talking a lot about her. She made an appearance speaking to former Empire star Taraji P. Henson at the BET Awards. In case you missed it, here's this campaign ad.
Taraji.
Oh, hello, Madam Vice President.
So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
Congressman, your thoughts? Is that authentic or relatable in any way?
It's not authentic. I mean, look, Kamala Harris is putting on a show. We know that. They're trying to find a way to stop the hemorrhaging of black voters towards Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Look, all she had to do was simply do her job. Go out there, secure the border, actually be able to give cogent statements where she just doesn't throw out these word salads that don't mean anything. But now we have YouTube clips ad nauseum full of that kind of stuff. They're trying to rehab this campaign, but it's not going to work because when purchasing power has been destroyed because of your reckless spending, when all you have to do is talk about how you've never been to Paris, and anytime you get a difficult question, you start giggling and cackling, that does not bode well for confidence amongst the American people, and people know that. So they're trying to do these other things. It's simply not going to work. Donald Trump's going back to the White House, folks. We're going to save America. We're going to make it great again.
That is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds joining us. We appreciate that, Congressman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.